I'm joined once again by BetPrep's player prop sharp Brad Feinberg here to go over. We've got 10 solid player prop bets for you for week 6 in the NFL. Brad, let's get right into it. Let's start with, you got a whole host of Green Bay Packers here. The Packers versus the Bears. I'm here in Chicago. This is the talk of the week. I can see Soldier Field from where I'm sitting right now. Yeah. This is the hype. You've got 4 different bets here, so I want you to go over them.
I think I have 5 different bets, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see. 1, 2, no. 5 in the game. That's right. 4 in the Packers, 5 in the game here. So let's start on the Bears side of things. Then we'll get into your whole host of Packers bets. Justin Fields here. You like the over on his rushing total. Is this the week we start to see more involved in that aspect?
Well, look, this is, I'm going to tell you something, Jimmy. Almost all the bets you see me put in, I'm always doing my research on BetPrep, giving you pure math. Here's why this is a good play. The numbers say long term, this is why I know I have this odds in my favor. This bet, I don't have any math because actually he's 0-3 to this over, Jamie. But here's the thing. And I give Matt Nagy credit that he's been able to turn Justin Fields into a version of Ben Roethlisberger and me. It's amazing. It's the ineptitude of the coach, but he doesn't play to the guy's strength. He refuses to let the guy run, but I just find it hard to believe a guy that runs a 4.40 that's just an amazing, incredible athlete can't get 13 rushing yards in a game. Just by accident, the pocket breaks down in one play. I see guys like Mahomes and Hurts were way slower than him. Josh Allen, way slower than him, getting yards way more than this. Again, as much as Nagy continues to try to hold him back, and I give Nagy credit, he's done an amazing job making him just a zero. But I still think that he'll be able to find a way to get 13 rushing yards just because he's such a great athlete. This is me maybe being a little bit stubborn, though. And maybe Nagy's that good at holding him back.
Well, let's move on to the Packers side of things. Let's group these. Let's talk about the 2 running backs first because we got to see a lot of work for A.J. Dillon last week. You like A.J. Dillon over and Aaron Jones under. So what are the 2 bets you're looking at here for the Green Bay running backs?
Well, A.J. Dillon, his last 2 games, Jamie, look, he's had 8 and 15 carries. And the coach actually said after the game, LaFleur said, we really need to get A.J. Dillon even more involved. This is after him having 8 and 15 carries the last 2 weeks. So to me, again, when you watch the games, I actually think Dillon's a good player. Not that Aaron Jones isn't, he certainly is. But to me, 26.5 is just too light. He's had 81 and 30 his last 2 games. I think, again, I'm going to go a little bit what the coach said and LaFleur said. We're going to get him more involved. I think 26.5 is too light. I would have made this probably about 9 yards higher, to be honest.
And then on the Aaron Jones side, if it means more work for A.J. Dillon, means maybe a little less volume for Aaron Jones. That's why you're leaning towards the under here on rushing attempts.
Well, Jamie, that's exactly right. Obviously, these 2 are somewhat correlated. Now, of course, A.J. and Dillon could have 1 carry for 27 yards, and and Aaron Jones has 30 carries for 100, right? That could happen. But my point being is they are somewhat correlated because if Dillon goes over, it probably means he's getting, 8, 9, 10 carries, right? Which means less carries for Aaron Jones, of course. Look, I like this bet for multiple reasons. First of all, we talked about the coach saying specifically he wants to get Dillon more involved, which means that we're going to see a little bit less of Jones just because of, they're not going to play both at the same time. Now, here's the thing I also like about it, Jamie. His last 16 games, his full 16-game season, 12 times he's gone under 15.5 attempts, and only 4 times has he gone over. So this has been a 75% winning bet before any of this A.J. Dillon news even came out. And look, and I looked at it, he's averaged about 13.5 carries over that time frame. I just think this is about, honestly, 1 to 2 carries too heavy of a number. I would have made it probably 13.5 in my honest opinion.
All right, let's move on to the passing game here. We talked about one of these types of bets last week where you're laying heavy juice here, but there's a mathematical advantage that you believe that is in place here. There's Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I believe that's sitting at minus 190 right now. So is this one? Tell the listeners again who maybe didn't join us last week why you might be attracted to a bet with this kind of juice.
Well, I'm very attracted to it. Listen, Jamie, last week we laid minus 180. I'll gladly have made minus 190 here. And look, Jamie, as long as they keep making this 1.5, you're going to see my ugly face up here every week talking about why I like this over. Because he's 23-3, Jamie, his last 26 games, the over. Let me say that again. 23-3. Now, Am I saying I think this is a 90% winning bet, which it's been over the past basically almost 2 years? No, but I think it's certainly at least conservatively a 70% winning bet, which translates to minus 230, minus 235 area. And I'm saying conservatively. I think Rodgers at this point in his career is showing that this team likes to pass, even when the 3-yard line, the 2-yard line. LaFleur likes to pass the ball, and that's what they like to do. Now, again, not a crazy high total in this one. Bear certainly, had a great defensive effort last week. So that would be maybe the little pause for concern is that, it's not like a shootout game versus, let's say, a Dallas or the Chargers or, the Chiefs, a game like that where Green Bay's going to score their 4 touchdowns. Not that kind of game, but I'll still want to lay minus 190 on a guy who's 23 plus 26, Jamie.
Now about Robert Tonyan, what do you like or not like about his particular betting lines right now? I believe you have the under in receiving yards, and this is a guy that's a touchdown threat, but also is a threat to be completely uninvolved in the offense at times.
Well, Jamie, that's exactly right. I think Robert Tonyan, look, he had a good year last year. Let's not take anything away from him. He averaged about 36 yards a game receiving, got a lot of touchdowns, got a lot of hype as being a key contributor for that team. But, the saying, what have you done for me lately? Well, this is what Mr. Tonyan has done for us lately. 7 of his last 8, he's gone under 30.5. Listen to this. He's only averaging 1.8 catches in that span. And out of those 8 games, 4 of them, Jamie, this is crazy. 4 of them, he's had single digits. And only 1 game he had 19 or more yards. So he's gone under 20 yards, 7 of 8, let alone, 30. So, look, he clearly hasn't been a part of the offense. And I'm just going by that trend, for whatever reason, he hasn't, maybe the Randall Cobb thing, I don't know. But it's just, he has not been as actively involved as he was last year. And I'm going to go with that trend.
So let's move on to a different game now. And there might be a lot of people eyeing Steelers this week, particularly because of the juicy matchup they get with the Seahawks secondary. But you want to pump the brakes a little bit on Ben Roethlisberger. Tell us what the bet you're making and why.
Well, Jamie, I'll be honest. If Russell Wilson had been playing in this game, this would not be a bet for me. And this is why, again, when you're making these bets, it just can't be all numbers. You have to really factor in. There's so many different facets of the game you have to look at. Now, Big Ben, I look at his last 21 games. I want to know BetPrep. He's only averaging 245. So in his last, season and a half or whatever it's been, he's actually 10 yards below this. But I really like the game script here because they're actually a 5-point favorite here, Jamie. It's a game they're actually supposed to win. A lot of these games where I checked out that Ben has gone over this number have been games where they were an underdog, where they fall behind, and they had to pass the ball. Again, I'm going to factor in the Geno Smith starting at quarterback in this one, Jamie, that this is a game that Pittsburgh should be in. I don't expect them to be trailing by double digits. I don't expect them to have to be in catch-up mode. Now, maybe they will and I'll lose my bet. I get it. But I'm playing a little bit to the grain strip here. I think that Najee Harris doesn't get a lot of carries, and I expect a big game out of him. And I think this is going to be a lower scoring game where there's not going to be a ton of pass attempts or yards for Ben Roethlisberger.
One of the players that's really kind of started to break out in his second season is Van Jefferson of the Rams. But we've seen some inconsistent usage for the non-Robert Woods, non-Cooper Kupps of the world in that Rams offense. You're kind of thinking it's not going to be a big week for Van Jefferson, under 3.5 receptions. Why?
Well, look, and the juice here was minus 150, so there was a little bit of juice here. Well, here's why. Look, in 5 games, he actually has gone under 3 to 5. But here's the thing. He went over, in games when they played Tampa Bay. Well, that was a game where they lost 34. I'm sorry. I take that back. I take it back. The games he went under were the games that they fell behind, like that they were winning the game. The games he went over was against Arizona, where they fell behind by a lot of points. I apologize. Against Arizona, they got killed in that game, and he had he had no choice but to do that. The other game he went over was against Tampa Bay, where you can't run the ball against Tampa Bay. So that was a very pass-heavy attack. Now they're playing a team, Jamie, in New York where, look, they're a double-digit favorite here, right? They're a 10.5-point favorite. I'm expecting this team not having to rely on Stafford and company to throw the ball on. 3.5 catches is a decent amount. That means he needs to get 4 to obviously beat us. Again, he has gone under 3 to 5. And in my opinion, the 2 games we did lose, or he would have gone over. I think there was good reasons for both. I'm not expecting them to fall behind like they did against Arizona. And the Giants certainly don't have the same kind of run defense that Tampa Bay does. And look, Deshaun Jackson's even been a bigger part of the offense. I think it's going to be a stretch for him to get 4 catches here, Jimmy.
Move over to an AFC matchup between the Chargers and the Ravens. And your colleague over there in BetPrep loved the over on this game, which is encouraging because you like another over as well. A lot along the lines of the Aaron Rodgers conversation is over 1.5 on the Justin Herbert touchdowns, laying pretty heavy juice here, minus 210 right now.
Yeah.
Again, it's the same logic as the Rodgers one?
Jamie, that's exactly right. Now, listen, I went back to his last 18 games. He's 13-5 to the over, which translates to minus 260, okay, which is right. Well, that's already above minus 210. He should be minus 260 just based off that. But if I go back to I'm going, Jamie, I think this is a whole new, everything's different. Okay, I think it's even, I'm going the last 3 games. Staley has really been pass, aggressive. He goes for every 4th down. So this is an added bonus. If we have a 4th and 4 at the 15-yard line, instead of having the field goal kicker come on, Justin Herbert staying on the field. That's giving us another chance to get a touchdown here. And you look at his last 3 games, Jamie, he's thrown 11 touchdown passes. Look, I'll be shocked. Like, I'll be honest, I think he is as good of a touchdown bet as anyone in the NFL right now. 1.5, yeah, minus 210, gladly do it. Again, sometimes the best bets you can make are laying big juice. I think this is one of those cases.
On the other side of the coin, you've been able to run on the Chargers a little bit this year. And Latavius Murray, there's been a lot of hand-wringing about the Baltimore backfield over the last few weeks and who's being used and who's not. But the consistent player being used on a week-in, week-out basis over the last few weeks has been Latavius Murray. And you like him to go over his rushing total this week.
Look, Jamie, again, this is a situational play, okay? Do I like Latavius Murray as a player? No. He's a veteran. You know, he's had a nice career for sure, but he's certainly to call him he's at this point probably a journeyman running back. So I understand that. So I'm not saying I love Justin Herbert. I love as a player. Aaron Rodgers, I love as a player. I took those guys over. I do not love Latavius Murray talent, but I'm trying to be objective here. As you said, the Chargers, they are allowing 5.6 yards per carry. They are allowing about 160 rushing yards per game. I mean, that's hard to do. I mean, you almost have to go out of your way to attempt to do that. So to me, look, with those kind of numbers, and I see Murray, his snap count the last 2 weeks has been 62 and 49%. 43 yards, and for a team that's giving up 160, I understand Lamar's going to get a nice chunk of that. I get it. Doesn't need to be explained to me. But there's still going to be meat on the bone for the running backs, and I think 43 is just too light, and I think I'll go over 60 here.
All right, and the last one up here is a little bit of a different type of a bet. It is the longest completion or longest reception bet for CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys, over 24.5 yards. Talk to our listeners a little bit about, or our viewers, I should say, about why you like this bet and how you kind of come to this conclusion for like a longest reception or a longest run type of a bet for a player.
Jamie, look, for the bet like this, again, there's obviously an element of luck to it, okay? Like if you bet, a guy is over and carries, unless he gets hurt, you probably deservedly won it or lost it. But there's obviously some element of luck on this. I mean, does he, does the ball go off his fingertips as he's catching a 25-yard pass? Does a guy get his shoestring as he's falling down? Because it's a one-play scenario, right? So first of all, inherently speaking, I know there's an element of luck to it. Okay, but here's the thing. In his 21 career games, CeeDee Lamb, Jamie, is 14-7 to the over. But it gets a lot better than that. His last 9, he's 7-2. And then it gets even best. With Dak Prescott at quarterback, not the Andy Daltons of the world who we had before and Ben DiNucci, who we had playing for him before. He's 9-1 to this over, 9-1. He's a big play guy, CeeDee Lamb. So he makes plays like this week in, week out. Again, I just like the trends, what he's done all year, and it's what he's done in his career. He's been that kind of guy for them. I'm going to just go by what he's done, and I think this number should have been higher based on his success with Dak Prescott.
There you have it. 10 prop bets that you need to get in today before games kick off. That is Brad Feinberg, the BetPrep Player Prop Shark. He'll be back with us next week and every week going forward, breaking down the best player props for you to bet on in the NFL.